all know there are hundreds of betting sites out there, but don't be fooled. Some sites are legal in some states only, some sites pay in Bitcoin, and some sites have even been hacked. However, BetUS has been in business for over 30 years. They have future bets that are paying out in the thousands, and there's still time for you to bet on the Super Bowl, the National Championship, and even the NBA Championship. Just use the QR code right here, and it'll take you to the BetUS site. BetUS. Check it out and bet responsibly. You all know there are hundreds of
to get to the quarterback here. Prescott takes off running the football. Whoa, I don't think this is going to work out.
It will. They'll be able to clock this. They were planning for it. It's down. Oh, my gosh.
The official gets in the way. The game's over.
Gosh.
The game is over.
Oh, he did.
Oh, they're going to look at this.
It's going to be over because the umpire has to touch the ball. Of course, that's ridiculous for a game to end like that, Jim.
Happy anniversary, Dallas Cowboys fans. I know that's got to be a little heartbreaking to relive that. I didn't get to say it yesterday because I was not on the show live. That's something that happened on January 16th, watching the Dallas Cowboys lose that way in what has to be the most heartbreaking fashion possible. I think what I'm going to start doing now, just to troll myself and my fellow Dallas Cowboys fans, is I'm going to just start sharing out videos like that. Just the embarrassing and ridiculous ways that the Dallas Cowboys have lost football games in recent memory. Welcome into the First Friday show to our friends over at National Streaming Sports on Roku, the First Friday show that we are doing here with the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. A lot of stuff to get to. We're going to have questions and answers from y'all, the listeners, the audience, all the people that want to be a part of the show. You start asking some questions in the comment section, and we will, I will answer them. It's always weird for me whenever I say we will, whenever it's just me, right? But I will answer those questions as best I can. As long as the topic is PG, don't give me some rated R topics here for what it is that you want me to talk about on this question and answers day, Friday, that we are doing here with the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. Tommy Carranza saying, good morning, Daddy Yankee Tipton. That's going old school with it, man. That's going very, very old school with it. Especially whenever you came up, man, like I was wearing the same type of stuff. You got like the white button-up shirt that's unbuttoned, but like the black tight as all hell shirt under the bottom of it with like a little itty-bitty chain. I had the white Yankees hat on, you know, kind of doing that thing, going a little more TIP, coming live from the VIP. You know, I heard the nightlife was like without me, right? Like, so that's the end of my rapping career, y'all. But yeah, like that's going old school with it. Remember, questions and answers. I'm gonna start working on some graphics to kind of have on the sidebar. I don't know if I want to do it over here or if I want to do it over this way, but if I do it over this way, it covers up my alcohol. So maybe I just put my alcohol in a different place, right? Tommy Carranza laughing at all the silliness here. Thank you to everyone that tuned in to yesterday's show. You can probably hear it in my voice, right? Like I am not feeling my best right now. And I am all sore from vaccine shots and all kinds of stuff. Get home last night and following the UTEP women's basketball game, and I am just in shivers all night long. And it reminded me as to why I don't like getting vaccines. I'll still do them, but as to why I don't like getting them. The last time I had to have, or the last time I got COVID, I lost about 25 pounds and thought I was going to die. And that's something different coming from me because normally I get sick and I'm done with it in like a couple of hours. This thing, it whooped my ass, and they gave me that vaccine yesterday, and I am just not feeling it today. But I wanted to make sure I still did this show because back-to-back pre-recorded shows would be kind of And of course, we're going to do our questions and answers. Y'all start asking some questions. I'll get some answers out there going for you. But I wanted to talk about one subject here right quick, real quick, and in a hurry. And it's about the NBA, which is a weird start for us to get to on a Friday, right? Like we're going into the divisional round of the playoffs. We're going into the NCAA championship game is going to be on Monday. Probably won't talk much about it today. I think we'll break it down more so on Monday. Going to try to get my guy Mike Golick Jr. to join me sometime this weekend to pre-record some thoughts on his alma mater, Notre Dame. Jaime Pinkman saying, why you want to start that way? We know the history of disappointments of the Cowboys. Ya basta. Because I'm a jerk, man. Like, obviously, I love my Dallas Cowboys. But when you look at the comedy of errors, the way that they lose seasons, like I have to go through and find out what day it was that the Zeke Elliott thing happened, where they had Zeke line up as center to try to run a trick play to beat the 49ers in a playoff game again. Like, it's just a comedy of errors with the Dallas Cowboys. The other day I put up the Dez 10 years, right? 10 years since the Dez caught it game. It's so funny because I put that up on Instagram. 1.1 million views later, it's still people in the comment section either, oh my God, he caught it, or oh my God, he didn't catch it. Like, this isn't the thing. Why is this a thing? Oh, you Cowgirls fans. I always, again, if you're going to come up with an insult, come up with a better insult than Cowgirls. Like, Jesus. Well, we can do that with every team, right? Like, you got the Eagles, the E-Girls. Come on, guys. Get better with it. But it's just me kind of leaning into my ever-growing and undying disappointment of the Dallas Cowboys. Again, the Dallas Cowboys disappoint me the way I must be disappointing my parents right now. Like, oh, you do that hobby thing still? You still talk on a microphone? Jaime Pinkman saying, take care of yourself. I have been going that RSV crap for about 10 days now. It's one of the worst illnesses to go through, man. Yeah, and that's people tend to ask me like weird random things. I'm a very reclusive individual, and sorry, I'm drinking tea to help out with the way that I'm feeling. I got my green tea with honey and all kinds of stuff in it because I love to take care of my voice. All those, this is a Friday voice, right? Like, we're laying back, we're chilling. It's a nice, good Friday. Like, I got to drop down a couple of octaves, got to get back to my normal voice. Welcome into the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. That sounds like it should be late night with Mike Tipton. Linda McGrath saying, good morning, Tip. It's funny how none of those mistakes didn't happen with Landry and Johnson. I don't think you could blame it on coaching. Well, I guess, yeah, if you're having a designed run for the quarterback with 14 seconds left and he slides and they don't get the opportunity to spike the ball. But if you look at it, and I'll play it again right here. If you look at it, and before I play it, I have to give courtesy to CBS Sports Network, the great Tony Romo, the greatest quarterback in Dallas Cowboys history, hands down, Tony Romo on that call. But watch at the end of it where that umpire has an opportunity to get the ball, but he just stands there.
Prescott takes off running the football. Whoa, I don't think this is going to work out.
It will. They'll be able to clock this. They were planning for it. It's down. Oh, my gosh.
The official gets in the way. The game's over.
Gosh.
The game is over.
Oh, he did.
Oh, they're going to look at this.
It's going to be over because the umpire has to touch the ball. Of course, that's ridiculous for a game to end like that, Jim.
It is ridiculous, Jim, for a game to end that way. But my whole thing is if you're the umpire and you're supposed to be trailing that play, why are you standing there in the backfield instead of following the damn play, like running along with the play? You can see he's just standing there and then takes off running ever so slowly. Or maybe just Dak Prescott has blazing speed, right? So if that umpire doesn't get in there, he doesn't run into Dak, who knows? Maybe, just maybe, they get the spike off in time and get that last second Hail Mary, whatever it is that they might be able to do. Obviously, that's all ifs and buts, right? Like, if my aunt had an extra appendage, she would be my uncle. So none of that matters whenever it comes down to the world of if, right? But it's not necessarily like a terrible, terrible thing that was overdone with the coaching staffs and stuff like that, right? Like, and we can talk about it. I'm sure we can go back in time and see some boneheaded plays that the Dallas Cowboys in the 90s and in the 70s and 80s must have done. Well, like I don't think it was readily available as it is now, but I think back in the day, obviously, I'm sure you can find out there. Medusa Design saying good morning to you, Medusa. Tommy Cadanza saying, I was about to say probably going back down to the late night tip. Whoa, probably shouldn't have said that. We're on Roku, doing some cool stuff with Roku. Can't be over the top with the. Actually, I mean, maybe I can. I've seen some of the names of these shows, and I'm like, okay, maybe if I just don't say certain words, but I can always do the late night tip voice. Yeah, baby. Joshua Rojas saying poor clock management and poor play calling, knowing you have no time outs. Linda McGrath saying situational football is coached. I get it. I am 100% with you on that. Yes, it's to me it's a dumb play. And it's a ridiculous play. And if you look at the Dallas Cowboys in their history late games, whether it was Bill Parcells whenever he was the head coach, Antonio Romo fumbles the snap against the Seahawks, or whether it's the play that we just saw, happy anniversary to the Dallas Cowboys haters. I'm sure you are frothing at the mouth because you wanted to get your hate towards the Dallas Cowboys out at this exact moment, or whether it was Dak Prescott lining up under center, who the center was Zeke Elliott, right? Like, I understand you want to be a bit innovative and you have to like show something a little different, but that really, really wasn't a great play call. Like, I'm with you guys on that. But again, like the referee being in the wrong spot at the wrong time. Why is it that we get to go after referees whenever they make a bad call in the Saints game, right? Like the Saints and the Rams. And this is what I'm going to do a little bit later on in the month is we're going to go over some really heartbreaking plays that have happened in NFL history. And we'll see how many of these times the referees got these things wrong, right? Because the referee running into Dak, like, yes, you're trying to get into position, but why weren't you trailing the play? Why do you have to run in so late, right? And of course, I'm not going to sit here blame the referee, but it's got to be more than all that stuff. Happy anniversary to the Dallas Cowboys haters. I'm sure that all of you are extremely, extremely happy. Joshua Rojas saying, show the playoff game versus the Bucks with a stupid play ran with Zeke being under center. Yeah, no, that's I'm going to have to find certain days, and that's what it's going to be. Is I think what I'm going to start doing on the show is just like the one random weird boneheaded play of the day in whatever the sport is, right? Like I'll have to. I know in the summertime we're more than likely going to have to get like cricket or something in there where it's just like some random play. Linda McGrath saying Roku is mature rated. I creeped myself out. Like I have my headphones in. I creeped myself out saying it's rated mature on that late night Mike Tipton voice. I remember my very first job in radio was as a NPR DJ, and I had late night jazz at Tipton's on 88.5 FM KTEP El Paso. Tommy Cananza saying that play was on Kellen Moore, to be fair, but Mike McCarthy is allowed it, so he gets blamed too. And I see yesterday, and I really wanted to like do a late night show just to be like, this is an emergency show. We have to address this, of the Dallas Cowboys wanting to interview Kellen Moore to bring him back. Unceremoniously dumped as the Dallas Cowboys offensive coordinator because he just couldn't get it done for the Dallas Cowboys. And now in Philadelphia seems to be the guy, right? Like, oh my goodness, he's such a great head coaching candidate. And I don't know if I want the Dallas Cowboys going down that low. Not at this moment. Joshua Rojas saying that year Super Bowl should have been Drew Brees versus Tom Brady, but the NFL wanted Rams versus Chiefs so bad. The defense pass interference should have been called. Guys, I'm all about, like, I am all in on a good conspiracy. Trying to say that the NFL is out here rigging games, you have to remember, like, no one would want the Rams in the Super Bowl. They don't have a huge fan base. Like, maybe you get LA, right? But if the NFL really wanted numbers and the NFL really wanted money and the NFL really wanted all of these things, they would have the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl as much as physically possible, because Dallas Cowboys fans would just eat all that up and the Dallas Cowboys haters would eat all that up, right? So when you look at the games that aren't playoff games, and you have regular season games with it, 90% of the top rated TV shows that are on are NFL games. And out of that percentage, always leading the pack are the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys being in the Super Bowl would make so much money for the NFL. So if we're going to say the NFL's rigged, it needs to go that way, right? Like if we're going to say the NFL is all about money and money, which they are, but they had the ability to control all this, the Dallas Cowboys would be in the Super Bowl more often than not. Like it's just one of those things. Like I'm all about a good conspiracy theory, but come on, let's get something better. You don't think that people would have loved Patrick Mahomes versus Tom Brady again, like that rematch? Like that to me is a better storyline. And if the NFL could control the storylines, that's what they would do. Joshua Rojas saying you have to remember that season where the Rams and Chiefs Monday night rating was high because of the high scoring games that they had put up. Again, no one's going to watch the Super Bowl expecting points. People are going to watch the Super Bowl because it's the Super Bowl. So you're always going to have people watching the Super Bowl no matter what. You would get a huge influx of people because, again, going back to you either love them or you hate them when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, and maybe there's a couple of other teams in there that we can start throwing in. People will hate watch the Dallas Cowboys. You can walk around any city and you're wearing a bunch of Cowboys regalia, and you will be ran across by people that say, I hate the Cowboys. And you ask them, who's your team? Anybody but the Cowboys. You don't get that with other teams. The drama of watching the Dallas Cowboys lose would make the NFL so much more money in the Super Bowl. And then just the incessant, nonstop celebration of overly loud, obnoxious Dallas Cowboys fans, if they had won the Super Bowl, would be, again, chef's kiss for just ratings for the NFL. So, like, I get it. No one watches the NFL, like, no one watches the Super Bowl thinking to myself, I'm going to get two teams that are going to score 50 points. No. You want a good game. You don't want what we had with the Rams and the Patriots a couple of years prior to that Chiefs and Patriot or Chiefs and Rams game where it was 13-10 or something like that, where it was just a terrible game to watch. You don't want that. And I'll have to go through and see what the final score was on that, because I'm sure it wasn't like a high scoring game, because in the Super Bowl, you normally get much more defensive prowess, at least in the first half of the Super Bowl. Joshua Rojas saying, that's my old man, dude. Watches the Cowboys more than his Steelers. I tell him he's a Cowboys fan. That's Augustine, right? Like Augustine, and I'm surprised that he hasn't joined the show as of yet, but Augustine would be the guy that loves hating on the Dallas Cowboys. Tommy Cananza saying, the only guy I hate more than Mike McCarthy is Kellen Moore. I'm hoping you mean Mike McCarthy, because if you're talking about me as Mike, that's going to hurt. That hurts a little bit, my guy. Getting in the tea to try to help out the throat here. A little throat coat. Hey, yo. Pause? Is that what we're doing? Is that what the cool kids say? Pause? But yeah, the Dallas Cowboys interviewing Kellen Moore seems like it's going to be a huge mistake. Not a big fan of that. But I wanted to start off with this, and obviously I didn't get to go that route because this is Friday. Audience leads the show. Y'all bring me your questions. I answer your questions. Let's talk about whatever sport it is you want to talk about, and we can get off to some of that. I got some takes. You just got to work your way to get them out of me. Let's see how that goes. I'm putting you guys to work today. I'm like those old school radio shows. Call in and do my job for me, mainly because I am not feeling well. I am drenched in sweat at this exact moment while also being freezing cold. It is not a good day for your boy. But I saw this article, and it was LeBron James manager Maverick Carter is getting a group of investors ready to raise $5 billion to form an international basketball league where they would serve as a rival to the NBA. LeBron James's business manager setting up another league with $5 billion of investment to try to rival the NBA. A current player's manager, I got to say it again, creating a league to rival the NBA. That is wild to me. And I sit back and I kind of think about it and I ask why. Like, what are you going to do that's different that is going to rival the NBA? Because as we've seen, NBA ratings are tanking. Every other league is having success. The NBA is the only one on the struggle bus with not being able to get ratings for all their games. I know people are like, oh, it's so many three-pointers, it's whatever it is, blah, 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 blah. The fact of the matter is that no one's watching the NBA anymore. I love basketball, so I will force myself to watch every single Spurs game when I have a chance. I just don't know about watching all the other teams. And then I look at, like LeBron James, and yes, you're the greatest, one of the greatest of all time. I'm not going to say the greatest of all time because you already know where my biases are. I was born on Michael Jordan's birthday in his rookie season, right? So my biases are there with that individual, changing the game of basketball, making it more international. And I have to ask myself, to like Maverick Carter and LeBron James, what's the point? Well, like what's the point of making another league if you already have a league that people aren't watching? I'd love to get down to the bottom of that. I just found it a little interesting. Joshua Rojas saying, do the Rams have a legit chance to upset Philly? I think they do, right? Like, obviously you don't make it this far. Let me backtrack on that. Most teams don't make it this far by being an overwhelmingly bad team, right? Like, you can't have a lot of flaws and make it this way. I like the Rams defense. I know that they will create, they'll wreak havoc against Philadelphia. The one thing is that Philadelphia has the best offensive line in the league and one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the NFL, right? And it goes down to what needs to be played, like what style needs to be played here. I like the Rams' chances because I feel like what Philadelphia's weakness is on defense is stopping the run. And if you can run the ball against them, which as we've seen with Kyren Williams and the Rams, like they can run the ball, then now you start creating some issues for Philadelphia, but you have to be consistent enough getting, 4 to 5 yard gains every now and again. You can't just, do what the Dallas Cowboys do, hand the ball off, run 2.5 feet, fall down, and then think that you move the chains a little bit. Like, stuff like that isn't going to happen. Tommy Canazza saying that LeBron is trying to make another league because he wants Bronny in the NBA. I guess, man, like if you had the money to create a whole new league to just get your son to have some professional clout, then I guess by all means, my guy, you do you. You do you. And I am perfectly fine with it. Whatever you got to do to make sure your kid is getting himself paid, right? Like I'm 100% with it, Bron. You got to do what you got to do to help your kid succeed in this world. Going back to the Rams, though, I think they've got a puncher's chance. I know the spread. I think it's gone to 5.5 or it's gone to 5, something like that. I have to look it up, but I know that the Rams can keep it close to Philadelphia. I don't think Philadelphia is going to be able to blow the Rams out. Now, if Philly gets like a lead early on and the Rams become one-dimensional and they have to rely on passing the ball, Philadelphia's secondary is the best in the NFL. So it's really up to the Rams establishing their ability to run and keeping up score for score. If you fall behind, obviously it's like Tony Romo analysis here. The team with the most points at the end of the day wins, Jim. But if you fall behind early to Philadelphia and you become one-dimensional, you're cooked. I like them. I don't think I would bet on them. Maybe bet to cover the spread, but I wouldn't bet on them to win as an underdog, just depending on what the payout might be, maybe, right? But they've got a chance. Everyone's got a chance, right? Like, it's not a snowball's chance in hell. Like, they have a legitimate chance. The one team that I don't think has a legitimate chance is Washington. I would love the chaos. Like, don't get me wrong. I would love the chaos of watching the number 1 seeded Detroit Lions lose to the Washington Commanders because I know Washington's not going to win a Super Bowl. But it would just be hilarious, right? Because you've got all these Lions fans out there now who are high and mighty, as though the last 100 years of Detroit Lions history didn't happen. We didn't get to witness any of that. So now we get to talk down to other teams and blah, 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 right? Like, I am all about the chaos that would cause. I just don't want any real shot, I guess, for the Commanders to maybe win a Super Bowl. So maybe that's where I have my little issues on things as well. I am sorry that y'all have to listen to this right now. I am struggling. I am on the struggle bus, y'all. I have never stared at the clock wondering how fast time is going right now, because your boy just ain't feeling it. Some other stuff almost came out. Joshua Rojas asking, do you agree with Cam Newton, what he said a couple of months ago, that the WNBA would surpass the MLB? It depends on what your definition of surpass is, right? Like, just based off of the MLB schedule and how many games there are, I don't see that many people really tuning in for long periods of time in the WNBA, right? Like, Caitlin Clark is going to bring eyes all the time because she's just amazing to watch. And I'm really interested in watching this new league that my former boss at ESPN, John Skipper, is creating, called the Rival 3-on-3, right? Where you basically have 3 players playing against 3 players, but they're all WNBA players. You got 8 teams or something of that nature. Like, I'm really interested in that. But I think the WNBA season, unless it's outside of Caitlin Clark, you need another star, right? Angel Reese is the heel, which I love that she's sinking into, but I don't see, outside of those matchups where it's Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky taking on the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark, I don't see other games truly drawing in a huge enough audience, right? And with Major League Baseball, there's so many games that you're going to watch, right? Look at this past World Series. Again, if baseball was rigged, they would have so many chances of the Dodgers and the Yankees playing in the World Series, because this one was just a ratings monster, right? Like, you got both of those huge markets wanting to watch your game. And the thing that's going to change for Major League Baseball now is that the Major League Baseball is more of a regional sport as of now, right? Like, that's where you have your Bally Sports networks. You have all of those little things like that, where we got to watch our team on this station, and whenever they're not sold out, it's blacked out and all that stuff, right? Blah, blah, blah. Major League Baseball is now following the NBA, the NFL, in having national deals, right? And what they're going to do is put I was going to say the shows. I know it sounded like I was going to say something else, but I was going to say the shows. But it's going to put the teams that people want to watch on a national platform, right? Like, you don't have to worry about the ESPN game of the week being the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Milwaukee Brewers. It'll be that. And then you try to reintroduce baseball with what they're doing in, to a new audience to help grow it, right? I know that you said that Cam Newton was talking about popularity. I just don't see it that way. Mainly because of international players like Shohei Ohtani, right? Like, whenever I went to the MLB All-Star game this past summer, seeing the hundreds, and I might be understating it, but seeing the hundreds of reporters following that man's every step, there's your big difference, right? Like, Major League Baseball reaches an international audience. A lot of those international people come over to the United States with a love for baseball. Very few people, it's again trying to break that glass ceiling, right? Like, trying to really plow through that glass ceiling of, a lot of people would rather make fun of the WNBA. I feel like they're watching the WNBA to see 2 things. Either Caitlin Clark is great or Caitlin Clark is terrible, and they're wishing and praying upon her downfall. I would love to see what the ratings are moving forward, and that's what I base popularity on, is how many people are watching what you do, right? Like, that's how you understand what popularity is in the sport, because you can go into a bunch of corn-fed cities in Nebraska and be like, would you rather play WNBA or would you rather play baseball? And the fact of the matter is, they're going to say baseball, right? So it's the viewership that determines your popularity in these sports. That's a great question, though. I love whenever I get a chance to talk about the WNBA. I don't do it as much because I kind of follow where the conversation takes me, as what I'm doing today here on Roku, our first show on Roku. You want to get at your boy, you can do so on all the various social media at Mr. Tipton33, at Mr. Tipton33. It should be a super fun time watching the NFL these next couple of weeks. But man, like again, we're just walking down the plank ready to get shoved off. And that's the way that it feels. All right, y'all, we're going to take a quick break just because I've got to try to blow my nose. So I got to play a commercial real quick. I will be right back in just a couple of seconds. I have a 2008 Ford Mustang GT convertible, and nothing makes me happier in that car than when it's nice and clean. And you know who helps me get there? RevAutoCarCare.com. They help me get that pony looking as nice and shiny and ready for any of the car meetups that are all around the great city of El Paso. Spoil your car and go to RevAutoCarCare.com/Tipton and view all the inventory they have and find out what works for you to help make your ride shine. RevAutoCarCare.com/Tipton. Use promo code Tipton33 at checkout to save 15%.
To get to the quarterback.
You all know there are hundreds of betting sites out there, but don't be fooled. Some sites are legal in some states only. Some sites pay in Bitcoin, and some sites have even been hacked. However, BetUS has been in business for over 30 years. They have future bets that are paying out in the thousands, and there's still time for you to bet on the Super Bowl, the National Championship, and even the NBA Championship. Just use the QR code right here, and it'll take you to the BetUS site. BetUS. Check it out and bet responsibly. Welcome back into the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. Thank you all so much for being a part of the show. The questions and answers that we are going through today, so far, some pretty good questions. I appreciate the stuff that y'all are asking today. Those of you that have watched continually, even through that break and through me being on the struggle bus as I continue to try to drink tea to save my life. 26 minutes, y'all. Deal with me for another 26 minutes. Then you get a 3-day weekend. I'll be here on Monday. I'm still gonna do a show on Monday. I know some people are gonna take it off. I just get here, I sit down, I talk to y'all. I love these types of moments. So thank you all for being supportive of what it is that we are doing here with the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton, and of course with our friends over at National Streaming Sports on their Roku channel, Prim and Proper Sports Fridays with the fellas. Tune into that today. I am not going to be a part of it, guys. I think I'm as soon as this is done, I'm going to cuddle up and, pray for sweet, sweet release of death. Like I think that's how it's going to be. So maybe I won't be here on Monday. Who knows? Oh man. I hope some of y'all get my dark humor. I understand that it's not for everybody, but Jesus, man, I'm just not feeling great today. Okay. So I was looking over some of the stuff over on ESPN.com. Of course, the place that you want to go to get all of your football, sports, all that information. I'm having a hard time thinking about words right now. Words. I have the best words. But I wanted to break down this Ravens and Bills game. And I wanted to kind of go a little bit deeper with this and say, and ask y'all, right? So I want y'all's feedback on this of who has more to prove? Is it Josh Allen or is it Lamar Jackson? And I firmly believe that it's Lamar Jackson, right? Like, you're a multiple-time MVP. You're a guy that's been considered the best in the league, and you don't have any signature wins or deep playoff runs that there's anything really to write home about. And you look at that resume, and you sit there and you say to yourself, this dude is one of those transcendent type players, right? Already in his young career, he's the quarterback with the most rushing yards of all time. Now, obviously, you don't want your quarterback rushing all that much, but if he has that ability, you might as well do it, right? And he's become a better passer. He's become all these things that has led him to being an MVP caliber player year in and year out. I look over at Josh Allen, and I feel like if there's a team here that doesn't have as much pressure, it's going to be Buffalo, right? Like, whenever they got rid of Stephon Diggs, the sexy thing this year was to choose the New York Jets. Yes, Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets as the winner out of the AFC East. And people were choosing Miami over Buffalo. My guy, Brandon the Iceman Cohn, we've done Fire and Ice a bunch of times. We're probably going to try to bring that back here coming up shortly as soon as his basketball coaching season is done over at Austin High School here in El Paso, Texas. Shout out to y'all, the Austin Panthers basketball teams. But he and I had an argument about this because I said, that's still Josh Allen. That's still the Buffalo Bills. There shouldn't be that much of a drop-off. And as we saw this year, the Buffalo Bills, one of the best teams in the NFL. And Baltimore, even though they finished the season, or they're currently standing right now 12-5, even though they had that type of record, it kind of made you wonder, man, they lose some pretty dumb games, especially early on in the season. There were some weird losses in there for Baltimore. And just like I say about the specter of pressure, right? Like, how do you play whenever you have all that pressure mounting up on you that you need to succeed, that you need to be this type of player? We've seen Lamar Jackson come up short in those moments. Yes, we've also seen Josh Allen come up short in those moments, but it's against the Kansas City Chiefs, and they are the Super Bowl winning team. All hail Patrick Mahomes as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. The guy can retire today and is a Hall of Famer in that short of a time. It's insane to think about that. But that's who Josh Allen is running against, right? We haven't seen Baltimore make deep playoff runs. We need to see it now. And I feel like if Baltimore beats Buffalo, then next year we talk about the pressure on Buffalo. But out of those two teams, the pressure is squarely on the shoulders of the Baltimore Ravens. At least in my opinion. Want to get what y'all think about that as well? As we look at the spread right now, the Ravens are the favorite. It's a 1-point spread. You get 2 points for being at home, so technically it's a 3-point spread, maybe, right? I don't see it. I just don't see it. Buffalo is a great team. I don't think they get the respect they deserve. They're like Rodney Dangerfield here, right? Like, they don't get no respect. I think that Buffalo's going to win this game. Everything that I've seen right here, though, is that it's going to be extremely cold. Let me look up what the weather is supposed to be like in that game, because I saw that it was supposed to be like -3 with like snow, which is great football weather for us watching at home. Oh, yeah. Look at that. On Sunday, I believe that's the day they play, Sunday, right? Yeah, on Sunday in the afternoon, they are looking at 21 degrees with wind, bringing it down to a wind chill of 0 as of this moment right now. That is a crazy, crazy, crazy place to be playing football, and I am all about it. I know that there's been all this talk. Well, maybe. I've heard people. I don't know if it's a major thing, but I've heard people. My guy Brandon, the Iceman Cone, again, saying that all of the stadiums that should be built now need to be domed, so that way you don't have to worry about the elements, and it's an equal playing field, and blah 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 blah. Mireya Reyes asking, why different expectations for different quarterbacks? You want one guy to carry the team and the other gets a pass? Why? It's not that one guy carries the team. One guy has more talent on his team than the other, right? Like Lamar Jackson really has a lot more talent on his team than what the Buffalo Bills have. Buffalo traded away their best wide receiver and then brings in a jettisoned Amari Cooper for what, a 5th-round pick, a 7th-round pick, something like that. So you don't have a lot of what you would call top-tier talent in Buffalo, right? They let their main running backs go over the last couple of years. They've let their defense, they've had a lot of players leave over the last couple of years, while Baltimore has had an influx of talent coming their way, right? With Isaiah Likely and with Mark Andrews, 2 of the best tight ends in the NFL, being that safety blanket for him. You bring in the best running back in the NFL in Derrick Henry. They have done everything they can in Baltimore to build a team to win a championship now. Buffalo, everyone thought they were punting on this season. You paid a lot of money to Josh Allen, and then you trade away all the talent around him, right? That's where I think the weight of expectation comes from, is you have one team that's been spending. We've got this, an MVP, a 2-time MVP that hasn't made deep playoff runs. If he loses again this weekend, it's another thing where we talk about the Dallas Cowboys of, they keep losing in the divisional round, right? That will be the thing that follows Lamar Jackson around. Buffalo's made some pretty deep runs. It's just there's much more talent, and I believe that is, especially in the NFL, when you get late in games, talent is always going to be the thing that you want your team to rely upon late in those games. Baltimore has more of it than what Buffalo has. Buffalo's had an amazing season, but with all that talent and with all they've done to bring in free agents, right? Like, you have a team bringing in players while the other team's getting rid of them. That's where the expectation comes in from. I love that question though. I don't call it a pass though, right? Like, because I said if Buffalo loses this game, that's where you're going to have the questions come in for Josh Allen. I think right now, because you're talking about a guy who went to Wyoming, right? No one knew Josh Allen. No one had expectations of being an MVP type candidate for Josh Allen. He's one of these guys that no matter how good he plays, we just kind of sit back and question whether or not he can do it, right? All the pundits out there, oh, he's a turnover machine. He does this, he does that, blah, 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 blah. All he does is get better and get it fixed. And now doing it with lesser talent around him. But if he loses, again, like you have a time where like now he's raised up, and if he loses, that's where the pressure is going to come in, right? Same thing with Detroit. I don't think Detroit has any pressure on them right now as well. Washington has no pressure on them right now as well. But if Detroit loses in this round to the Washington Commanders, there's no way that you have a season the way that they did and not have just an insurmountable amount of pressure hanging over your shoulder with Detroit. I love that question, though. I genuinely love that question. Tommy Cananza saying, I think it's Lamar because he's winning all these regular season awards, but no real success in the postseason. He's going to get thrown into the Dak Prescott of the world categories if he doesn't start winning in the postseason. Yeah, like I can see that, right? Like that's the thing that you surround Dak Prescott with is, and as I played the clip earlier today, you surround Dak Prescott with this guy can't win. He's good in the regular season, but he's not going to win you a Super Bowl. And once you get saddled with that, you have, I mean, go back and look at, the old tape, right, of Steve Young doing the get the monkey off my back because I finally won me a Super Bowl. The same thing with Peyton Manning, right? You have all these awards, you're doing all these things. You still haven't won a ring until you finally win that ring. And then, like, even the conversation with Aaron Rodgers of, sure, you won your ring. What have you done in the 14 years since then? Right? Like, that's why, to me, pressure is so different for different people. This is the first season that we can say Josh Allen is a legitimate MVP contender. Lamar Jackson's more than likely going to win it again, and it'll be his third time. He'll be a 3-time MVP with the names of, like, Joe Montana and, like, Tom Brady and like this, without sniffing the type of playoff success that they've had. And that's why, to me, it's different pressure levels for different people, right? Like, I'm doing this show. There's someone out there that does a show much bigger than me. They're going to have more pressure on them to get things right, where I have set the bar so low, even though we're doing the same thing, that you guys kind of expect me to mess up from here and there. Set the bar real low so that way I can jump over it all the time. That's what I said yesterday at the VA with my doctor's appointment. And yeah, I've got to go back to that comment that you put up yesterday because I told you I would. So let me go find that. And while I do that, I will filibuster and say that while I was at the VA yesterday, my expectation was fully that they're going to tell me, Mr. Tipton, you're going to die in a week and a half. And if they had told me, Mr. Tipton, you're going to die in 2 weeks, I would have been like, that's a win for your boy. So you got to set the bar real low whenever it comes to me. Or maybe not. I guess hold me to a standard as well. If I'm holding other people to a standard, I got to be held to a standard as well. I am trying to find where it is that this was posted at. Sorry, Medea, I am trying to filibuster. I thought I would have found it by now. Here we go. As the Dallas Cowboys go. Here we go. Medea saying yesterday that career suicide is going to Dallas, and then goes on to say the value of the game is what is important. Players no longer play defense because it's about the 3-point shot. Where is the teamwork, the passion, the communication in those teams? Watch women's basketball. It's all physical and entertaining. Exactly. I think one of the issues with the NBA has been that it's become a star-driven league, right? Like, you don't have role players the way that role players were relied upon in the past, and you just have guys going after their numbers, right? Like, I need to reach this amount of money or this amount of stats so I can get this amount of money. And I think that that's been what the real issue is. But saying that it's career suicide going to Dallas, come on now, you can't say that. TJ Houshmandzadeh, former Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver, was talking about the Dallas Cowboys and how they are the pinnacle of mediocrity, and he would know, being head coached by Marvin Lewis, who was a constant 8-8 during his tenure with the Cincinnati Bengals. But to say that the Dallas Cowboys is career suicide, it's not, right? Like I got a list from people the other day, and it was Wade Phillips, now Mike McCarthy, Jason Garrett, and they go back as far as Bill Parcells. And they said that all these coaches didn't get a fair shake at being a coach again if they wanted to coach in the NFL. And there's that caveat, right? The word if they wanted to coach in the NFL. Wade Phillips never applied to be a head coaching candidate anywhere else after he left Dallas. He wanted to be a defensive coordinator. He went to be a defensive coordinator and won a Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos, right? So he's had success. And now he's a head coach in the UFL because they needed big-name coaches who have experience winning in the UFL. Jason Garrett didn't seek another head coaching job. He went straight into the booth, and now he's one of these fun guys to watch on Sunday Night Football as they break down the game. Bill Parcells didn't want to coach football at all anymore. Like, he was done with the game. And now we see Mike McCarthy as being coveted by two teams in the Bears and the Saints. And if he doesn't sign with one of those teams, he's probably going to be an offensive coordinator somewhere. So you can't say that going to Dallas is necessarily career suicide. And even if you got like Deion Sanders or someone like that, look at Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore's offense the last year he was in Dallas was horrid, absolutely horrific. And even he was able to get an offensive coordinator job in I was going to say San Diego, in LA with the Chargers, and he was able to get a job with the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, that's that, right? Mireya saying, no, he went to New York. Who is the he that we are talking about here? I mentioned a lot of games, or a lot of names, sorry. So I don't know which one the he is that went to New York. Mireya saying, you can have all the talent you want on paper. Anything on paper looks great, but come game time, it will be who is more prepared and who wants it more. No. Flatly, no. Like it doesn't work that way. Like, yes, I love that mindset of, oh man, your passion for the game is what's going to win you games. No, it's not. Your job is to go out there and play your ass off no matter what, because if you don't get a paycheck, right? So that whole thing of who wants it more, they all want it more. They all want it the same. They all want it, right? Because that thing, that ring, that trophy solidifies you. Even if you win it one time, solidifies you as one of the greatest of all time. Look at Aaron Rodgers. Look at Ben Roethlisberger, that big fat guy running out there doing all that stuff. It's not all about who wants it more. This isn't high school. The talent disparity isn't as vast as it is in like those high school levels, right? Everyone out there wants it. Otherwise, they won't be out there playing. That's what separates athletes from a lot of other people, right? The second you question whether or not you want it, you're done. That's the Tony Romo thing, right? Like, Romo probably could have gone out there and played a couple more years, more than likely with another team, but he just didn't want it anymore. Both teams are full of young, hungry guys that want to win that championship for not just themselves, but for their quarterback. They all want it the same. Like, there's no way you're in the playoffs and thinking to yourself, you know what? I just don't want it as much as I used to. Like, that's not a thing that happens. Like, I appreciate the comment, but that is flatly not a thing that happens at the professional level. Maybe if you're on a really bad team, and you can see some teams quit, but it's super noticeable whenever you see those teams quit, right? Like, if it's the Cleveland Browns and they're getting their ass handed to them all the time, that's kind of how it goes. Tommy Cananza saying, being a Dallas Cowboys fan, even with the lack of playoff success, opens up so much doors for players after football, so career suicide is crazy. Mireya saying, haha, yes, it does. It doesn't. Like it really doesn't. All those players want to win the same. If you, like, you will start fights in locker rooms if you say you don't want to win it as much as I do, because it's a pride thing. It's your paycheck. It's a whole bunch of things that go along with it. Mireya saying, money is a big factor, not the championships. Be realistic. Yeah. That's exactly what I said. You play because it's your job. Your job is on the line. If you show up, if you're like old boy in San Francisco that walked away from his team, he is never, ever going to play again. That's your example of someone who didn't want it anymore. Yeah, if you don't play your best, you're not going to get a contract. But part of what solidifies your legacy is that championship. I'm not a part of these people that thinks championships is what the end all be all is, but it solidifies legacy. And it's all those talking points that are out there, right? Aaron Rodgers, the greatest of all time, because he has one championship ring. One? Like, that's the thing, though. But it solidifies your legacy in all this stuff. Midea saying they want money. Yeah. But if you say that I don't want it and you're not playing your ass off, you're not going to get paid. Like, you are ruining your own argument here. That's exactly what it's about. I'm the person that says it all the time. If you think that players aren't playing because of money in college, you're wrong. Even in high school, they're playing because of the chance to possibly get some NIL money and go to a college. Sports is about money. It's a business at the end of the day. And then you say, like, being associated with the Dallas Cowboys is career suicide. Who are the main announcers in sports right now? Tony Romo, Troy Aikman, Dallas Cowboys. That they get paid like a ton. Tom Brady, this is more than likely going to be his last season as a broadcaster, because I don't think he'll be able to do it anymore because of the way that he owns the Raiders. Midea saying, so Rodgers' career is solidified then. For him, it is. That's what it's about. Like, for your internal thing, for people that put weight in rings, for him it is. I will never say he's the greatest of all time, because there was a group of quarterbacks who would take ahead of him. But to the group of people that love them some Aaron Rodgers, yeah, of course. They're going to say he has a ring. The guy that you like doesn't. That's what it always comes down to, right? Like, look at the Jordan LeBron James thing. Jordan won 6 championships. He never lost in the NBA Finals. Therefore, he's the greatest of all time. Let's forget the fact that LeBron has multiple rings as well. I believe it's 4, maybe going on 5. He has 4 rings. He's been to the finals 10 times. He's made more money. He's the greatest, like, he's the highest scorer of all time. Whenever he retires, he's going to be one of the leading rebounders, assist people, and scorers of all time in NBA history. But people will never give him his flowers because he didn't win as much as the other guy. Like, that's the stuff I hate about sports, but I understand why people use it as an argument, because you can't. You can't rebut against it, right? I can sit here and say, oh, I thought Tony Romo was a better quarterback than some of these other guys. I think Tony Romo is a better quarterback than Eli Manning. But Eli Manning has 2 rings, and whenever I get hit over the head with that, I can't be like, because that's going to be everyone's argument all the time, is how many rings did they win? So, yeah. The people that love Aaron Rodgers are going to bring that up. Yeah, his career is fantastic. He has a ring, and the quarterback you had doesn't. That's just the way that some people will talk. I hate that argument. I think it's a lazy-ass argument. But it's just the way that it goes. She was talking about coaches getting other coaching opportunities. That's what I meant by career suicide. They can go on to do other things. Bill Parcells wanted to retire from the NFL because he was 70 years old. Wade Phillips went and won a Super Bowl. Jason Garrett decided he wanted to go on TV, and Mike McCarthy was interviewed by 2 teams. Then we can go back in the past. Dave Campo wound up being a defensive coordinator in the NFL. I don't think he ever wanted to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Chan Gailey was an offensive coordinator in the NFL for 25 seasons after the Dallas Cowboys. Jimmy Johnson went on to coach the Miami Dolphins. Barry Switzer just retired because he got his championship rings and all that stuff. Tom Landry was the first coach of the Dallas Cowboys, and he died weeks after he got fired. So it's not. Like, just flatly, it's not. I love the comment, but it's just factually not true. You've had other people go on to coach, and they never wanted to be head coaches again because there's something about that job that is so thankless that a lot of people don't want to do it. Wade Phillips was never a head coach until he was a head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Or I guess maybe there was like one interim year there where he was a head coach. But you can ask him over and over again, and he didn't want to be a head coach. He's a defensive coordinator. Everyone loved Wade Phillips as the defensive coordinator. So I mean, yeah, they've had a lot of coaches in the past, but they've all went on to have successful careers post Dallas Cowboys. And I honestly believe if Jason Garrett wanted to go out there and interview for like an offensive coordinator job, someone would probably give him the like an interview. I think he'd probably get interviewed as a head coach somewhere as well. Like there's a lot of examples. I mean, the head coach of the Washington Commanders right now, like he's a former Dallas Cowboys coach. Like it's just not a factually true statement at all. But again, I love the discourse. And again, I will do my due diligence. I will look through. I will see what coaches went where following their tenure with the Dallas Cowboys. But there is a line of success that has happened after people left the Dallas Cowboys. Like it's just true. And the people that are out there saying, "Oh, it's career suicide, this and that," if it truly was, why is Mike McCarthy getting phone calls right now? Everyone in Dallas, fans, hated Mike McCarthy. He was the butt of the joke. Yet meanwhile, he's still getting phone calls here and there. Like it's just flatly not true. And if he wants to take one of those jobs, he'll probably take one of those jobs. I think the job for him in Chicago would be amazing. You got a lot of salary cap that you can pour into like a young team with a young quarterback, teach your system, and do all these things over and over. I think that'd be a great job for Mike McCarthy. Also, I think they play the Dallas Cowboys. The NFC North plays the Dallas Cowboys next season too. So you might be able to come into Dallas and stick it to them. Tommy Kanatsa saying, why do you think every free agent or coach gets linked with the Cowboys if it would be career suicide? It's one of those wild statements. And again, like it's like I honestly believe if you look at the clip, I'll play the clip for you all later on this week. But if you look at the clip from TJ Houshmandzadeh, he's smiling the whole time, knowing that all he's doing is trolling people. So for me, it was like, all right, my guy, like I got you. I see what you're doing. You're doing the talking point thing of I want to get people going here, there, blah, 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 blah. Mireya saying McCarthy because he won a Super Bowl, not because of Dallas. His Super Bowl was 14 years ago. His recent success is he had 3 straight seasons of winning 12 games with the Dallas Cowboys. Like, it's that simple. Like it really is that simple. And then you can't say, oh, well, he went to the Cowboys and committed suicide because now he has a job. He's got job offers. Again, love the conversation, everybody. I got to go. I appreciate you all tuning in. We will see you next week here on The Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. I want to give a shout out to our friends over at RevAutoCarCare.com and MyHappyNuts.com/Mike Tipton. Visit those sites. Use promo code Tipton33 at RevAutoCarCare and use promo code Mike Tipton. Save yourself on all of the big packages that they have over at myhappynuts.com, and we will see you all next week.